What is going on, everyone? Weekly News makes a long-awaited return after a few weeks being absent, and there's a few spicy things to talk to today. In particular, what looks like a loaded box sent to Cardcollector2 from Surprise Surprise Whatnot. Once again, there's a few things I want to share on that because it does look very, very suspect and interesting, and we'll get to that in a short while. Now, the first thing I want to quickly talk to is something that I forgot to update on over the last couple of weeks, and that was, SGC coming out and announcing a new pricing model, which I think is a really good thing for the hobby and for the industry, and I'm hoping it can put some pressure on PSA and BGS to come down a lot further than what they are, because I think across the board, pricing for grading cards at the moment is still far too high, and it's not anywhere near where it should be in the long term. But again, people will clap back at me on that as they have in the past. But essentially what SGC came out and did was have now made it $15 a card for sports cards, and then they've given a new introductory offer to try and get people grading TCG stuff for $9 a card, which is, pretty amazing. And this is still factoring in them being able to turn the cards around in a relatively short period of time. I think it's like 5 to 10 business days, I want to say. The reason why I was giggling there is because my daughter's squealing in the background like a little pig, so I do apologize for that. And as you can see over here, the $15 grading fee, and again, as I did correctly state, 5 to 10 business day turnaround, which is a really good thing, right? So it's not just the fact that they've come down lower than what they were in the past, because I think it was previously $25 a card, if someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also the fact that they're going to maintain and sort of guarantee that 5 to 10 business day turnaround. They're doing a heck of a lot to try and put pressure on these bigger graders and try and win new love. Now, I'm not sure what that's going to do for SGC in the long run, whether this is going to be enough to make them, a true giant in this space, or take enough market share away from PSA and BGS, because it's obviously not coming right now from a PSA perspective, but this is a good sign to see. And I really hope this can put pressure on PSA and we see people going towards, SGC. I still think, all things considered, it's best to send your stuff to PSA purely for the return value, but I also still stand by my statement that I've given many times that PSA is currently the best at grading consistently. If they were all to have the same number of cards, i.e. if you give every single grader 10,000 cards, I think PSA is going to do it better than anyone else, just based on the things I've seen within this hobby right here, right now. But, as a customer, if you're wanting to get consistency with your cards, it makes sense to send it to SGC over BGS or PSA, because number one, you're going to get it around a lot faster, right? You're going to get it back in your hand a lot faster, especially compared to BGS, which has terrible communication at the moment. But also, when it comes to PSA, you're probably going to get a more consistent grade going through SGC, because PSA is obviously doing million+ cards a month, SGC doing nowhere near that, and you guys get the picture. I think it's just a really cool thing. I hope it can put pressure on these businesses, these bigger ones, but I'm keen to get your thoughts and whether, this pricing model is going to be enough for you to maybe use them if you haven't used them. I'm still not a huge fan of their cases. I don't like how they feel in hand. I don't like how they look on every single card. I think they look better for TCG stuff than they do for certain sports cards, but it is what it is, right? Grade who you want to grade with, right? It doesn't matter, who you want to go with, as long as you think the grade is consistent, because as I've preached many times before, you buy the card, not the label, right? You buy the card, not the holder. And too many people these days get stuck into or sucked into that PSA mindset. I'm going on a rant now, but you guys get the gist. If this pricing is good, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. If you don't like SGC, again, let me know. Or if you do like SGC, let me know as well. That's a lot of let me knows, but please do let me know. Now, the next thing I want to quickly talk to is Gemrate. So they do fantastic reports, as I've shouted them out many times in the past, where they, give you some insights as to what these graders are actually doing. So they focus in on the big four: PSA, SGC, CGC, and then also Beckett. And as you can sort of see over here, PSA is head and shoulders above everyone else. SGC has taken a heck of a lot of market share away from Beckett, as have CGC, just based on the volume of cards. Now, it's an interesting one, and the reason why I'm bringing up Gemrate once again is because I want you to check out a video that I put out maybe a week ago. I'm going to put it on screen right now, because they're currently in the process of creating a universal pop report. Because often what happens is, when you go in to buy a card in a PSA slab, people get stuck in the thought process of, they scan the barcode on the PSA slab and then they say, well, it's pop 9, I'm going to buy this card. And people basically fall short doing that. They fall into the trap because they don't check the pop reports for SGC. They don't check the pop reports for CGC. They don't check the pop reports for Beckett. And, when you're trying to spend money on a card, especially if it's going to be an expensive one, it's really the right thing to do to try and check all the pop reports as a prospective buyer, right? Because you want to make sure that there's not 1,000 of those cards graded in a Beckett slab, as an example, if you're only looking at the PSA one. So they're currently working on this universal pop report. It's not out there right now. I have access to stuff in the back end, so I can look at, the demo that they've essentially got, and it looks really cool. I'll show this in a video that I put out on Monday, like I said. So it's pretty cool. I think it could do a lot for this industry because too much gets focused in on, like I said, again, single greatest. People focus in on PSA pop reports only, or they are buying a Beckett card, so they only look at Beckett. The hobby needs to do a heck of a lot better when it comes to this sort of stuff, and this universal pop report is going to help out a lot of those people that are not thinking about the bigger picture and looking at all this sort of stuff, because people, like I've talked to before, play pop reports against each other, and that ends up with people having a card that's maybe overinflated or rarer than what they actually think it is, right? It's this false, scarcity, as I did talk to in my live stream with Jason the other day. So again, do check that out if you haven't seen it already. Now, again, repeating a video that I put out 2 days ago, and that's just to talk through the fact that Panini have also lost the rights now to the WWE license effectively as of 2 weeks ago, which is pretty interesting. And it's also pretty interesting, as reported here by Sports Card Investor, is that they had 2 years left on the license, and it's essentially come down to the fact that apparently they've breached the contract. Now, we don't have any detail on what specifically was the breach. I'm assuming it's the same sort of thing that happened with them losing the NFL license, but this is just a watch this space kind of thing, because it's going to be dominoes now. I think you're going to see the UFC license tumble very, very quickly because, UFC and WWE are owned by the same parent company. And like I said in my video the other day, I'm not going to be surprised if we see Panini also lose the NBA license by the end of this year, because Fanatics mean business, and it's just interesting that all this stuff sort of combined together is going to, have some good insights into this, antitrust lawsuit that's going on, right? What is it going to mean for that antitrust lawsuit between Panini and also Fanatics, right? Because as a reminder, Panini is suing Fanatics because they're saying they essentially conducted some sort of corporate espionage, establishing a monopoly and all this sort of thing. And, them winning these licenses or getting these licenses taken away from Panini and then Fanatics getting them immediately sort of gives some substance to the things that they're going to argue. So again, it's a very much watch this space kind of thing, because there's a lot more to come, and it could have some long-term impacts for us in the hobby because, I've said before, Fanatics coming in has a good opportunity here to set a clean slate for the hobby, do things the right way, create some really cool innovation. But the whole monopoly piece is quite scary, and unless we see pushback and unless we see Panini maybe stomp their feet a little bit, we could be some dark times ahead, because it might not actually be better than what we're seeing with Panini themselves over the last few years. That was a mini ramble once again, but again, please share your thoughts down below. Now, the next thing I want to talk to is this Cardcollector2 video that he put out a day or two ago that relates to the newly released 2022 Flawless Football. Now, as you can see on screen, there's an interesting sticker on this box, this sealed case, which has 2 boxes of Flawless in there. And that's a holographic sticker that we've not seen on a Panini product before. This has never been seen before on a Flawless box. And Cardcollector2 Ryan basically says the same thing. I'm not sure what this is. Is it there for authentication purpose? I've never seen this before. Now, people in the comments are essentially joking, and people message me about this saying, well, Daniel, we have another loaded box here. Is this sticker there to sort of tell, Panini which boxes to give to which people, right? They want to give them loaded boxes. Is this their tell to do that? Now, that statement got further fuel to the fire when you saw some of the cards that came out. In particular, this Brock Purdy on-card auto, obviously 3 of 5. It's a rookie card, the one you want to try and chase from that set. So when people saw that sticker, then saw this card basically get hit, they raised a heck of a lot of eyebrows. Now, that got even more fuel to the fire when it was mentioned in this video that it looks like it's a partnership with Whatnot, in the sense that the cards being hit in these boxes are being given away on Whatnot, and it seems like it's a Whatnot sponsored event. So when you're seeing, big time influencer, Whatnot involved, Panini involved, a product hit essentially being hit. Yes, it's not the rookie patch auto, but it is an on-card auto of Brock Purdy, the one you want to try and chase. And then you see this sticker that raises, multiple questions and gives fuel to that fire, like I said a few times now. Now, one of the things that people also mentioned in the comments is, okay, if this is meant to be there, which it looks like it is, because obviously Panini have stuck it on, is it there for authentication purposes? Is it there for anti-tampering purposes? And, I think it could be, but it also seems a little bit suspect. And I want to see, what other Flawless boxes get busted over the next few days to see whether this is consistent on all of them. Because, if it is, then it does look like it's an anti-tampering thing from Panini. But if it's not, that goes to that first question, right, where we've got yet another box here going to an influencer that is very much, loaded. Now, those are all obviously allegations right now. It's all allegedly, but it doesn't look too good, right? And it doesn't really pass the pub test, the smell test, whatever you want to call it. Now, some of you might say, well, how is this an anti-tampering thing? Why would Panini do this all of a sudden? If you guys recall, in the space of, the last 2 weeks, we had, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we had that flawless box get busted in China that was bought from DA Card World that looks like it was resealed. And the way we knew it was resealed was because, the cards that we hit in the break were previously sold on many different auction sites. And I can put a link to that video if you want to know more. So maybe Panini saw that and decided to put this on there. But again, that's going to come down to whether or not we see this on every single box. Now, I've not been able to see any other breaks of this as yet. So if you have and you've seen it, please let me know down in the comments below. But that might be Panini's attempt to try and do that. Now, some of you might say, well, the sticker is not over the middle, right? So if somebody cuts it, the tape, how are you going to know that it was resealed? Well, keep in mind, if somebody was going to reseal this box and they cut it down the middle, the person resealing it would have to replace the tape, which would mean they very much likely would have to peel this tape off in order to do that. And I'm assuming this is an anti-void sticker. So when that tape is, peeled off, you're going to see that this hologram gets messed up, similar to what you see with the eBay authentication program, when you basically reseal it, it's the anti-void. So the sticker can't be copied or restuck together because you'll see that it's been tampered with. Now, could that be the case? Sure. But again, we need to see the other boxes. It would also be very interesting for Panini to sort of implement something like that so freaking quickly off the back of that news from China, because we've seen Panini drag their feet, right? They're not quick to move. They're not fast moving. They're very slow. So please let me know your thoughts on this one. Let me know if you've seen it on other boxes, and let me know if you have more information, because this one is pretty interesting and is one that I'm probably going to comment on in a specific video at a later date. Now, that was sort of it for today. There was a few other things I wanted to talk to, but it looks like I spoke for too long, so I'll save those for a future video. Look out for a video in a day or two. I'm going to be talking about sports card influencers once again and why they suck. There's a few things that I've seen in the last few days that I want to comment on a bit further, because there's some things here we could be doing better as a hobby, and I'm going to share my thoughts on that, and I'm keen to get your thoughts as well. But as always, let me know what you thought about all the things we discussed today, in particular what you think about SGC, what you think about what Gemrate's approach is for this universal pop report, and then also what you think about this Cardcollector2 hot box, because it's just odd, and it's unfortunate that if it is a genuine thing, all right, this stuff is always going to be questioned now, because you've seen it happen so many times where you've got boxes going to people that are almost too hard to believe, and it's just an interesting one. Now, this one could be perfectly fine if every box has those stickers on there, and if it is, on every single box, and kudos to Panini for trying to fix a few things, because some of this stuff has been tampered with in the past and it's not good, but it is what it is. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.